Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a closer look at, listening to, and installing the Roush Cat-Back Exhaust with black tips, available for the 2015 and newer EcoBoost Mustangs. You should be checking this out if you're looking to ditch your very restrictive, very quiet factory exhaust on your 4-cylinder to pick up something that is essentially going to straight pipe it from the Y pipe back to the tips. What that's going to result in is the 4 out of 5 on our loudness meter that you just heard from our sound clips, and in my personal opinion, and that's all that this is, I think this is one of the best sounding catbacks for our 4-banger. Now listen, we all know you can't make a 4-cylinder sound like a V8, but if you're looking to make it a little bit more aggressive, give it some nicer tone, maybe a little backfire, especially at redline, this is absolutely going to be the way to go. It's not too loud to the point that it would wake your neighbors, but I will say at redline you might hear some gunshots coming out the back. But with that said, some of you guys might love it, some of you guys might not, but if you're into that backfire and all the back pressure, this is a snap, crackle, and pop that you want to have on your own EcoBoost. The whole kit here is 304 stainless steel from the head back, mandrel bent tubing, better for airflow, better for power. You can see an increase in horsepower and torque numbers at the low end. You can also expect 4-inch powder-coated tips coming out the back, slash cut, Roush name right on top there. We'll take a little bit more of a closer look at the entire system in a little bit, side by side with our factory one. Just know it looks pretty aggressive coming out the back here. It blends in really nicely with our rear valance, and I think it's a really good addition to our Eco. With that said, this kit here is on our 2018 without active exhaust, so of course your sound modes and what you can expect as far as sound quality and tone can and will differ if you pick up a kit that does retain active exhaust qualities. This one in particular is good for the 15 and newer, obviously 15 to 17 not having the active exhaust option, but for you 18, 19 guys out there with the EcoBoost, keep in mind that some of the options in the category for the active will definitely change the outcome of the loudness meter rating that I gave, 4 out of 5 for this one without active. So the entire kit does come in right around $1,200, maybe a little under the $1,200 mark, which I think does put it at the more premium end of the spectrum, but it doesn't really break the bank like some of the $1,500 options out there. You're still getting the highest quality materials, and you're getting that Roush name that we all know and love. Install, 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter, no cutting, no welding, none of that nonsense. It's a direct bolt-on kit, but it does take a little bit more experience than the average Joe. It's a little bit more involved in a cold air intake, but it's still very, very doable in the driveway at home with simple hand tools. I'm gonna take you through every step of the process. Let's just get started. Now the tools used in this install include an impact gun or a ratchet, an extension, 13 and 15 millimeter deep sockets, and I recommend PB Blaster or WD-40 for some lubricant. Now the first step here is to go over to our Y pipe or our mid pipe. We're gonna grab a 15 millimeter deep socket. We're gonna loosen up the bolts right here on this band clamp connecting our factory resonator to our down pipe. Now it's pretty simple. We're not gonna remove anything just yet. We're just gonna get them nice and loose. Next step here is to grab an extension and a 13 millimeter socket, whether it be deep or short. We're gonna knock off these 2 brackets holding on our factory hangers to the subframe. So we're basically gonna grab our extension and go right over the rear sway bar and remove those 13 millimeter bolts. Now at this point, basically what we're gonna do is just lift these off of the little notch that they're hung on. You just push up, pull back, and just rotate them down. Same thing on the other side. Now the next step here is to knock our whole catback off of our 18 Eco, and I have a helping hand here. My buddy Andrew's gonna give me a hand. What we're basically gonna do is disconnect it here from our down pipe, and then we're gonna slide them out of the hangers toward me and set the whole thing aside. Ready? So we got our factory exhaust off of our 2018 EcoBoost without active exhaust, and we have it next to our Roush Cat-Back. Now I want to take you guys through some of the similarities and differences between the 2 kits, and really there's nothing but differences. Our factory option here, starting at the front end of our vehicle where the downpipes would connect, has that factory resonator. Not going to be the case here on our Roush Cat-Back, which means it's not going to have that airflow restriction, which is going to translate to a little bit more power and torque, a little bit more acceleration, better flow for the air, a better airflow, and of course it's just going to connect right into that Y pipe and go down our mandrel bent 304 stainless steel exhaust. The quality there of 304 is some of the top of the line materials you can get in the category. better quality materials and more durable than our factory exhaust. Now, as you can see, this is seeing a little bit of rust and corrosion start to happen on the factory pipes. Our EcoBoost is pretty new, doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it, so you can see how susceptible that is, especially here on the East Coast. We're seeing a lot of road salt in the wintry months, so it does take a toll on the exhaust pipes. But if you have that 304 stainless, it's gonna be more durable, it's gonna hold up a lot longer than something like our factory materials and like some of the other 409 or aluminized options in the category. As you can see, we have the mandrel bent tubing about 2.5 inches, has the factory hanger locations under the subframe. We will have to transfer over the brackets to our new ones here. And then moving on from that, we have a huge difference in the mufflers, especially when it comes to size. Our factory mufflers are very big, full of baffling, minimizing that sound, minimizing the aggression. And listen, we all know it's a 4-liter, so we don't expect V8 sounds, but giving yourself a smaller muffler, something a little bit more straight piped like this race-inspired one from Roush, really waking that thing up. Now at the end of that muffler, we have the black powder-coated 4-inch tips, a lot larger and a lot more aggressive than our factory ones. Now it's not a quad tip, but it is gonna fit directly into our factory rear valance, which I think is always the plus side. You don't have to worry about spending a couple $100 on new valance just to get your tips to fit. With that said, it has the Roush name right on top, which is what we expect from Roush, repping a little brand name there, and I think the black tips are gonna look super stealthy and super aggressive. It's gonna blend in a lot with that rear valance we have on. With all of that in mind, starting at the front end here, we do have to transfer over this band clamp as well. We'll pop that on over to our new Y pipe. Then we're gonna transfer over the hanger brackets and get to the install. All right, now we're at the front end here. We're just gonna pop this coupler off, which if you need to, you can just pry apart with your hands and just kind of work backward. All right, now we can just swap it over to our Y pipe. Now this is one of those times that if you need help, you can grab a mallet and just tap this in. All right. Now for these brackets, it's really just a matter of twisting them out of place. Now when you're reinstalling these, you just want to make sure that this lip or the tab up at the top is facing the front of the vehicle. At this point, grab your Y pipe, and if you'll notice that the inlet side here favors one side over the other. You want to make sure that this is going on your driver's side, just like your factory one when it came off. So we're going to reinstall this up on our piping. You want to make sure that this tab here lines up with that retainer button that's welded on the downpipe. We're going to grab our 15 socket and just tighten down these two nuts. Now next up, coming off of our Y pipe, we're gonna start on our passenger side. Make sure you have one of your clamps ready to go. We're actually gonna slide that over the outlet on the Y pipe. All right, just slide that back and out of the way. We're gonna connect this pipe on our passenger side. Once you have that, bring that clamp back up and we're just gonna tighten it down. Now what I'd recommend doing is getting all of your clamps nice and snug, but not over tightening them. Leave a little bit of room for adjustment, just so we can align everything when it comes to our tips. But for now, let's get it snug. We're gonna do the same thing on our driver's side. Start with our clamp, slide that over the outlet, connect our pipe. All right, at this point, you can grab your socket and get this nice and snug. At this point, we're gonna lift up on the entire exhaust assembly we have on so far, and we're basically just gonna hang up these brackets back onto their spots on the subframe. So let's rotate those up. Clip them into place. This is a good time to show you an example of how leaving some room for adjustment can come in handy. We can rotate these pipes a little bit more freely to help us hang them up. All right, with that taken care of, let's grab those factory 13mm bolts and tighten them back down to the subframe. All right, so I got those 13mm bolts. We're just gonna put them on by hand, a couple of threads. grab your extension and the 13 deep socket and tighten those down. Next up, grab your passenger side muffler here. We're gonna slide over our clamp. We're gonna connect it to the pipe we just hung on the subframe, but first, we're gonna slide the hanger into the isolator up by our tip. It's really just about the angle at which you're sliding in at. Once you have that in, line these up and connect the pipes. Now, if it makes life a little easier, you can grab a mallet and just tap this in to get it to connect fully. You want to close that gap, make sure they're fully seated. All right, at this point, grab your 15 socket again. I'm gonna rotate this clamp upward and just get this nice and snug. All right, same thing on the other side. All right, this side went on a whole lot easier. Doesn't look like we're gonna need that mallet. So we're gonna rotate this clamp up, get it nice and snug. At this point, grab one of your tips, put the larger clamp around the end there. We're gonna seat this up at your muffler. Just take note of the alignment here. You wanna make sure you're getting this nice and straight, and now we can tighten down that clamp. Repeat for the other side. All right, at this point, make any adjustments you need to align everything properly, tighten down all your clamps, and you're good to go. Well guys, that's gonna wrap up my review, install, and sound clip of the Roush Cat-Back Exhaust with black tips for the 15 and newer EcoBoost Mustang. If you wanna pick this up, you can do so right here at AmericanMuscle.com.